I'm Mixer Giant, and in this video I'm going to be saying how you can do the ultimate comic crossover in Alfonso Media for Halloween. I have some videos for how you can do it for Christmas and in general coming out, so stay tuned for that. You would do Invincible dating DC superhero girl Supergirl, Spawn fighting against Hellboy, Stanley becoming the Mask again and finding out it's good him being the Mask, Judge Dredd finding out them needing to work together to fight against the supervillains, the Tick loving crossing over these guys and hanging out with them, Witch Blade fighting against the supervillains in general with the superheroes, Vampirella would be fighting the monsters with them, Lady Death in particular, and should even go up against Evil Annie because of her fighting against Lady Death, and her even working together with the main characters from the Hash and Slash series to do it, which they would believe would be the guys because of Hellboy and Spawn. The Shadow, the Phantom, the Green Hornet, and the Black Bat would be portrayed as pulp superheroes instead of Golden Age superheroes in the story. And the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles would go with the other superheroes and not the ninjas in the story. Since it being a horror crossover for Halloween, you would need to do Scarecrow and Mr. Fear. Scarecrow is one of Batman's most iconic villains and is the one who spreads fear in DC, while Mr. Fear is similar to Scarecrow because of him wanting to strike fear in the Man Without Fear, Daredevil, with him also spreading a fear gas, so him and Mr. Fear would cross over great, with them trying to strike fear into both Batman and Daredevil, then trying to spread fear throughout the world by drowning the world in their fear gas toxin. Mr. Fear would try to expose Scarecrow to his own fear gas at first, but Scarecrow would have already built up an immunity to it. Then Scarecrow would expose Mr. Fear to his fear gas, showing that he's the original out of them, but then they would work together to spread fear, and Scarecrow liking him being like him. Then there would also be starred by Marvel superhero Scarecrow the Straw Man, and Simon Dark, a superhero from Gotham City from DC. With the superhero Scarecrow, you can make it that stopping in coma is just one of the things he does. He does other superhero things too. And that the painting can't be destroyed, which is how he keeps coming back. He gains powers because of him evolving over time, which is how he's able to look human. And how it changed how it works, him coming out of the painting. And you're just making it that in Alfonso Media, his powers are the superpowers Mr. Rose said in his video about the Scarecrow. And him just calling himself the Straw Man so he wouldn't be confused with DC's Scarecrow. You can keep his weaknesses the same, and also you making it that because of him already being a Fearlord is how he has something to do with the other Fearlords. It would be good him going up against DC's Scarecrow because they're both Scarecrows, and you would go well with Simon Dark because of them both being underrated horror superheroes in their universes. With Simon Dark, you keeping the ending to his original story the same, you just making it that it's just him having a life outside being Simon Dark after it. And him showing up as a backup character in Batman, and Batman showing him that he shouldn't kill supervillains. And because of Simon Dark being in parts of the city is why Batman didn't cross over in his series. See Scarecrow, and Mr. Fear would just go into the park where Simon Dark is, and Simon Dark would go against them, and him fighting against them with Marvel's superhero Scarecrow. You should also make it that Simon Dark only has the powers that Mr. Rogues mentioned in his video about Simon Dark. And Simon Dark just being another superhero in Gotham, while Batman being the superhero in Gotham, and the Simon Dark characters appearing with Simon Dark when he appears in the Batman comics. With the GCPD and the Bat family members not being sure about them, but them being sure about them because of Batman being sure about them, and the Bat family members that kill being more sure about them, but in a different way. And Batman finding out that he should be sure about Simon Dark because of him finding out Simon Dark's origin story and from Simon Dark's loved ones. Then Scarecrow would summon Kamara, the Monkey King, and the fear monster that turns itself up into what you fear the most and feeds on your fear. Scarecrow wouldn't be scared of him, so then he would treat him badly and send him to attack them, but then after Simon Dark being good to him, he would go against the Scarecrow. Herbie would be done with his baby smuggling scene, but he would just be going after Helena Wayne, Batman and Catwoman's daughter. and making it obvious that he's in here road scary, and with him actually being a zombie, is how him having his powers, and him also going against her, and him mind controlling Samus to go against her, and him being with the Ratcatcher because of them both being able to do that, so them getting along because of them having so many things in common. Because of him controlling rats too, and them also mind controlling Vermin specifically to fight against the other heroes, because Vermin is half rat. They would also control the half-man, half-spirit animals, housed from He-Man and Thundercats, and use them to go against both He-Man and the Thundercats as their own army. G.I. Joe's Cobra would interact with DC's Cobra and Marvel's Hydra, while G.I. Joe would interact with the Mandalorian Sealed. And the Rat King and the Ratcatcher would also mind control Venomous Scum from Captain Planet and the Planeteers and use him to go against the other heroes. They would get Venomous Scum free from the mind control, and then he would go against the other rat villains, and him making it obvious that he wants to be king of the rats. Dr. Animal would try mutating the animals they got and the half-men, half-animals.
I hate prison. The food is terrible, and the portions are so tiny.
Mary, take the overgrown alligator.
The overgrown alligator, Carrot Leatherhead, the Lizard, and Man-Bat would go against them and try fighting against them for it. They would be hunted by Kraven the Hunter, the Zookeeper, who would be able to turn into ammo combos, but him not being able to turn into any ammo like Beast Boy, and whatever ammo he turns into would be purple. And with him having some robot parts in the hat from the new 252 look, like in him also having a black suit with a metal collar and his lab coat. Him hating Beast Boy's parents because his mommy chose his barber over him, and because of him hating Beast Boy because he was a terrible kid. And they would also be hunted by Kyber the Huntsman, who would be able to turn into half predators, his combo predators, his half ultimate predators, and combo half ultimate predators. And Black Tiger, with you betraying it as a combination of Catwoman and Kraven the Hunter. And you doing these villains together because them all having something in common with them being hunters and them trying to make the most dangerous game out of it. While Maxie Zeus, who should be Ares, Ancient, and Gotham, and to go against Wonder Woman by going against Batman. He would have a mob family of gangsters like the Harpy, who would be his daughter. And with him actually being Zeus, it was for a time because of Zeus possessing him to fight against Batman and Wonder Woman. And with you laughing at him still obviously being a threat, him still being crazy, but him still being dangerous. With his wife, Wonder Woman. With him proving him being A-list and it being good his holiday theme, and with Wonder Woman being more scary and more obvious being a threat than him. Then they would fight against the Halloween spirits of both DC and Marvel. Marvel's Halloween spirit, Sam Hain, would turn people into their costumes to fight against the heroes, and you would also get the actual Jack-O-Lantern, Green Goblin, and Ghost to fight against the other heroes. And you making Marvel's Sam Hain different than DC's Halloween spirit, because of him being a human and who is the spirit of Halloween, and with him being more ancient and then him doing things in a more ancient way, and him being more serious in general. Him just wanting him to take over the world in general and to go against the heroes, so they're not stopping him from taking over the world, and with him just doing Halloween because of it being a holiday for evil and monsters. When really Halloween is a time to face your fears. And you dealing with the horrors of monsters and mythical creatures prepares you for the real life horrors. Then with DC's Halloween spirit, and him bringing things to life to fight against them, and him wanting to make Halloween last forever. And him wanting to make everyone scared, so him being able to feed on their fear. And with him also hating the other holidays and wanting to take over the other holidays. Him also going against Christmas because it being the only holiday that people like more than Halloween. How you would make DC's Halloween spirit different is him actually being what Halloween is all about. Him being more of a party guy, him liking to have fun, and him liking the modern age more. He would possess Blue Devil, so him looking like the Blue Devil from a Halloween cover, but when him being out of Blue Devil, him having his ghost look over his skeleton look, and with a pumpkin head. With Marvel Sam Hain being in here because of him coming back every few years, and with him summoning DC's Halloween Spirit to help him fight against the other heroes. And him doing the ritual to summon DC's Halloween Spirit. DC's Halloween Spirit is more of a monster who is the Halloween Spirit. You would make it him being good when him being in his Pumpkinhead form, but when him being out of it, and him going power mad and him becoming evil. Him also hating someone trying to steal his holiday because of it being his holiday. And he would be willing to work together with other heroes as if something is going against Halloween. And also always be people trying to get rid of the Halloween spirit so they can be the spirit of Halloween, which would do terrible things to the holiday, which is why the hero is stopping it from happening. You would make it that the reason why DC's Halloween Spirit is working together with Marvel Sam Hain is because Sam Hain let the DC Halloween Spirit out of his Pumpkinhead. So then the DC and Marvel hero has gone back into his Pumpkinhead, and then because of Sam Hain betraying the DC Halloween Spirit so he can take over DC's Halloween too, the DC Halloween Spirit going against Sam Hain. And him taking over both Halloweens from both multiverses. Until the crossover ends. It should stop a bunch of things from coming to life and there being monsters everywhere at Halloween. With the Teen Titans even doing him another body just to make sure him not going evil. And also having some help from the Dreaming. You'd also have Marvel supervillain Jack-O-Lantern fight against DC's superhero Jack-O-Lantern. See who is the true Jack-O-Lantern and stop either of them from becoming the Halloween Spirit. You'd also have Sludge helping them to fight against them, and so he can also fight against his arch nemesis, the Lord Pumpkin. You're also making it him taking back his kingdom and still being a gangster on Earth, and him not killing the Ghost family, him just leaving her over time. And the Spook would actually be a ghost, and he'd work together with both Deathstalkers and the Exterminator. With you showing that the original Deathstalker actually became a ghost because of his experiments and because of him dying. So him actually having his powers now, and the second Deathstalker would be his sister that took up his mantle to honor him, and the same thing with his brother with the Exterminator identity. The House of Sows just making it that it became an apartment because that was left to the pieces from when it got burned down. With the Sows and you making it that his spiders managed to survive is how him surviving into the Monday. Then for Scramble, the Mix-Up Man, you doing him actually redeeming himself and him actually becoming a member of Alpha Flight with his brother. And him helping his brother to go against the Skinbender and him using his powers to undo what the Skinbender did to the other people. With the Skinbender, you trying to top what she did in the original story she showed up in fighting against the Ghost Rider, and you also do her going around the country trying to proclaim her love for Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider. You're also making it obvious that she's worse than Scramble because of her making Scramble look tame, and Johnny Blaze managing to burn her enough to kill her this time. Should also have Solomon Grundy in there. With Banshee, Silver Banshee, Siren, and Black Canary. It would be nice seeing these guys as fight each other because they all have a sonic scream, so it would be nice seeing which one is the best out of them, and you also having Man-Bat in there. Also having Tigress as Anthony Lupus and the Gibbon in there. With the Alice in Wonderland gang and the Crazy gang to go with Killer Croc and the Lizard. And you also having the Werewolf from Krypton in there. Because a bunch of them are half man, half animals that are done because of an experiment. And you can also have Tigress fight against another Splicer Tigress and the original Tigress from the DC Universe. And you can also make it that they're using these guys so they can spread the serum and that turns everyone into a combination of all these half animals and into Jabberwocks. And when Anthony Lupus gave his sister a bone marrow transplant, it also turned her into a werewolf. So them needing to stop the other supervillains from spreading the serum, and then them also finding the other people that are infected with the serum. And you just saying that Batman did help him save his sister, but he was still a werewolf afterwards, and him still fighting against Batman afterwards. But then Batman managing to cure him at the end of this story. And all these guys worked together before in the Batman Animated Series comic, so it would be good them working together now. Anthony Lupus should fight against the werewolf from Krypton because of them both being werewolves and the best superheroes roles galleries. So it would be nice seeing which one of them is the better werewolf between them. The werewolf from Krypton is a Kryptonian from Krypton before it blew up, and him surviving Krypton's explosion because him being in the Phantom Zone at the time, and he was sent to the Phantom Zone because of experiments with red kryptonite, which turned him into a werewolf. Him being a werewolf, but him having all the powers of Superman, which makes him an even bigger threat to Superman. Him also showing the effects of red kryptonite because it being because of red kryptonite is how him ending up like that. Him also fighting against Supergirl one time, and I would go with the version of him that did fight against Supergirl at that time. Also fight against John Jameson Man-Wolf. John Jameson is son of the Daily Bugle news reporter J. Jonah Jameson, and was an astronaut, which is where he found a diamond at the moon, and so him becoming Man-Wolf, him being able to control it and becoming a superhero in space. And him being different than his barber, because of him not being as militaristic as him, and him being an ally to Spider-Man. And he's one of Marvel's most iconic monsters. It would be good seeing him fight against the other werewolf supervillains because of him being a werewolf superhero and him actually being A-list out of them. While the other ones are lesser known. You're having the John Constantine's dad. Zatanna and John Constantine would be dating in this, and them already having their happy endings in the end with their kids. One of them would be Astra, one of them would be their kids from John Constantine House of Mystery, and one of them would be Dr. Destiny. Pins then would be fighting against them similar to Ra's al Ghul, but in a more Chinese way, for you getting something out of him and you not getting anything bad from Batman the Animated Series. You can also do the Magician as Juzu working together with Tinzu, and him also killing supervillains in Gotham, and him actually being a supernatural threat to Batman, with him actually being magical this time, just him doing the same things as a stage magician. And because of the government experimenting on him is why him going against the government. With him being a supernatural villain in Batman Zoro Sky, and him also fighting against Zatanna and her part of Gotham because of them both being magicians. Him fighting against Batman, him doing it because of him hating that Batman doesn't kill supervillains, but when him fighting against Zatanna, him doing it to prove him being the better magician. And him doing the things that a stage magician does, but deadly. With you having Morgan Le Fay, Clarion, Child, and Etrigan in there, and Spectre, the Phantom Stranger, and Dr. Fate, and the rest of the Justice League Dark crossing over the Midnight Suns, because they're both the magic superhero teams of their universes. Also, Bloodstone would interact with John Constantine, Damien Hellstrom and Zatanna Hellstrom would interact with Zatanna over them having a magical parents, or Zatanna had good parents, or their parents were the devil. Bling, Ghost Rider, and Nightcrawler would interact with Animal Man, and Blue Devil and Kid Devil. Kid Devil and Nightcrawler have been said to be similar, so this would be good for showing how they're different than each other. It would also be good showing how Kid Devil is different than Blue Devil. Spectre and Phantom Stranger would act more godlike in the situation, while Dr. Fate and Dr. Strange would act more human in the situation. Spectre would also get along great with the Living Tribunal. Them also dealing with the Patrick Man, and who is Abigail Arcane, and Swamp Thing's love interest Barbara. He got blown out when he tried to go back to his daughter, and he was put back together by Swamp Thing's nemesis, his brother, Anton Arcane. Him also falling apart in his daughter's arms in the end. Because of his connections to Swamp Thing's other characters, him being a good character in the comic book, and it is good him being a good person in the comic books. Anton Arcane is good because of him using both magic and science to go against Swamp Thing, and him also doing terrible things over the years, while Swamp Thing is more of a good person than him. And because of Swamp Thing being in love with Anton Arcane's niece, Abigail Arcane, and Abigail Arcane having her connection to the Watt. This because of him wanting immortality, and him being jealous of Swamp Thing because of him already having immortality, but Swamp Thing just wanting to be human again, and can't let Anton Arcane have it, else him using it to go against the planet. You could also do Anton Arcane being the reason why the Pharaonic Man is here, and the Pharaonic Man being in Swamp Thing's Rose Gallery. And the Howling Commandos should work together with the Creature Commandos. The Howling Commandos was Captain America's original team during World War II. In the modern day, it being SEAL's superhero team made out of monsters. So them doing something with the monsters of the Marvel Universe, and so them using them against other supernatural threats. It's them having a part in fighting against the other giant monsters of the Marvel and DC Universe, with them going to war with each other. With them being able to convince the giant monsters is because of them being monsters themselves, and them being perfect to fight against them because of them being monsters themselves. With Kid Kaiju personally creating monsters to help them to fight against the giant monsters and to go against some of the DC giant monsters. And with you using Teen Abomination as a member of the Han Commandos, you're also showing that the Han Commandos having a relationship with the Midnight Suns, hence, and that the Han Commandos are similar yet different to the Creature Commandos. And that the Creature Commandos are similar to the Justice League Dark because of them both being supernatural teams, but the Justice League Dark and Midnight Suns and magic superhero teams specifically, and just plain superhero teams, while the Creature Commandos and the Han Commandos are monster superhero team specifically, and them working for the government specifically. Werewolf by Night would interact with the other werewolves, and him also being more in control of his werewolf form than the other ones, and him being a straight up superhero who's a werewolf, and him also interacting with Man-Wolf in the story, with them both being werewolf superheroes. Man-Thing would interact with Swamp Thing, and with Man-Thing not talking and acting more like a monster, with Swamp Thing acting more like a human and him actually being able to talking, and because of it, Man-Thing being able to talk and acting more human-like again. The living mummy would interact with the mummy from the Creature Commandos, and the mummy from the Creature Commandos would convince the living mummy it being okay him not being a prince anymore because of him being in the modern day. The mummy from the Creature Commandos would know that because of him being a medic for the Creature Commandos. Marvel's Frankenstein would interact with DC's Frankenstein, and then both bonding over them both being Frankensteins, and then both going after Dracula. But Marvel's Frankenstein would not be too bright, and he would act more like a monster, while DC's Frankenstein wouldn't be a monster, he would be a good person, but him being more smart. Werewolf by Night would also interact with the werewolf on the Creature Commandos team. The Han Commandos would have a relationship with the Midnight Suns because of Blade being a member on both teams, but then Blade would try to kill the vampire on the Creature Commandos team. But then Blade would find out that not all monsters are bad and there are good vampires because of their vampire being a good guy and because of Blade already being half vampire. And the Han Commandos Invisible Man would interact with the Creature Commandos Medusa, and with them also using the actual monster truck. And Dum Dum Dugan would interact with Sergeant Rock and Tree from the Creature Commandos, and Teen Abomination would interact with Manuel Majeski, the Rizzo, and G.I. Robot, and Sheev's daughter. The Han Commandos did come before the Creature Commandos, but the Creature Commandos were the monster superhero team first before the Han Commandos did it later. And you would do their Frankenstein was made when they put back together a soldier from parts from the original Frankenstein, and you're also doing Frankenstein with the bride in Frankenstein. And you would do young Frankenstein as their son, and you also are doing them fighting against the villains like Zorn. The difference between the Han Commandos and the Creature Commandos is because the Han Commandos are just a superhero team for specifically, but it being made out of monsters. The Creature Commandos really plays up them being a monster superhero team for the government, but it not being for the best government, and it being for as something that's similar to SEALed. Because of that, government to humans in general, not just as supernatural threats. And SEALed being a good superhero government, the Han Commando is just working for SEALed in secret because the world would hate that SEALed is working together with monsters, and the Creature Commandos is working for SAID in secret because of SAID not being the best as superhero government. But the Creature Commandos are actually loyal to SAID because SAID is the reason why them being there today. I actually like that James Gunn's Creature Commandos focuses on the Creature Commandos as from them being a monster superhero team working for the government and like in the comic books, and not just a Suicide Squad but with monsters. We already have the Suicide Squad, and they're already going to be the main characters of the DCU, so it is good getting a comic book accurate Creature Commandos with the team in general instead of with just the members. You could have the creature from the Black Lagoon monster from the Han Commandos interact with Nia Majeski and her dad, the original creature from the Black Lagoon monster from the Creature Commandos, and Dr. Phosphorus and the Corrosive Man. James Gunn might have did some alternate versions of the Creature Commandos in his series, but it is good, and it's a good alternate take on the Creature Commandos, and it is good that he did the idea of the team the same, and it is also good that some of these guys are better than the comic book versions of them. And The Creature Commandos, so is not woke. It actually does a good job of dealing with the diversity and bigotry by actually showing the horrors of bigotry and why it's bad. They're not being a bigot to the other way, and they're actually showing that the characters is actually right to stand up for themselves here. If you want them acting like the Suicide Squad, they already did had some random people dying there, and them coming together through the team because of them being random people and them starting to care about each other. So that is a good way of them interacting like the Suicide Squad, and it is good them getting the good things from the Suicide Squad. And you could also make it that Amanda Waller gets outed and for still doing the Suicide Squad just with non-human and villains, and with her also getting in trouble for even doing it to non-human characters. The Creature Commandos have a relationship with the Justice League Dark because of them knowing each other, because of them both being supernatural teams. Just the Justice League Dark is a magic superhero team made of the supernatural members of the Justice League, and the Creature Commandos are a monster team that deal with supernatural threats. Because of them both being around since World War II, and because of them knowing what it feels like to be treated differently just because of you being a monster. Them also having Rick Flag Sr. and Rick Flag Jr. and Rick Flag's mommy. Rick Flag would be with the Suicide Squad, and the Creature Commandos helping the Harlem Commandos to fight against them. And Rick Flag Sr. would be with Rick Flag Jr. with his mommy. The Creature Commandos would be working for SAID here and not Amanda Waller, and would point out how similar SHIELD and SAID are, but would also point out how different they are from each other. With SHIELD being the best superhero government, and it being with superheroes in general, and them actually working together with superheroes, and with SAID being a corrupt superhero government, and with them doing with meta-humans in general, and with also them being created by a supervillain. That's godlike. And you would also show the connections to other Golden Age superheroes. With the Harlem Commandos, they would show the connection to the Golden Age 7, namely the original Human Torch, the Wizard, and Captain America. With the Creature Commandos, you would show their connections to the Freedom Fighters, the Justice Society, the Haunted Tank, and the Seven Soldiers of Victory. And you would also have the Sentinels of Magic in there. Also do that in the end, the Creature Commandos should be free from SAID, and them still doing the superhero thing, but them getting the happy endings in the end, and them not doing what Amanda Waller says anymore, and SAID just being connected to Amanda Waller, not it being a part of Amanda Waller. And the Harlem Commandos still being a part of SHIELD, how them staying a part of SHIELD, and them knowing SHIELD being the better one out of them, and them being glad they're working together with a good superhero government like SHIELD. We'd also have the Spirits of Vengeance in there for the Harlem Commandos. For the Harlem Commandos, I would combine the Superhero Squad version with the Ultimate Spider-Man version of them. And for the Creature Commandos, I would combine the modern version of them with the original version of them, with the New 2 version of them, with the Rebirth version of them, with the Drat Pack version of them, with the DC Nixon version of them, with the DC Showcase version of them, with the Batman the Brave and the Bold version of them, with the DCU version of them. To create the ultimate version of them and to make sure you're doing the best possible versions of both teams.
Rick Flag.
GI Robot, reporting for service, ma'am.
Look at dumb hair girl.
Well, you win?
What else I gotta do?
You would also have Zemnu, the original Hulk, go up against Superman and the Hulk. The Hulk would defeat Zemnu, but then because of Superman not giving up, trying to defeat Zemnu, it was why Zemnu would respect Superman. And you also have the Wendigo because of it being one of Marvel's most iconic monsters, and because of it being similar to a Yeti and a vampire, you would have it fight against Saggy Man, who is similar to a Sasquatch. Because of them both having the Sasquatch thing going on, and because Sasquatches and Yetis are similar to each other. If you do cannibalism in Canada, you would turn into a Wendigo. Wendigo is one of Marvel's most iconic monsters, and him being a Hulk villain, and him being at the first appearance of Wolverine. Saggy Man can adapt and is as strong as Doomsday, and General Eiling put his body into a Saggy Man, saved all his friend when he was going to die, and so he would be a threat to the Justice League. He's also Marvel's Dracula because of him being another one of the most iconic monsters from Marvel, and because of the Wendigo being similar to a combination of a Yeti and a vampire. And because the Howling Commandos and the Midnight Suns already go after Dracula all the time, it would be good for the Creature Commandos and Justice League Dark to go up against DC's Dracula. So you having all the best monsters from both sides of the companies. And you're also doing it to show how similar the teams are to each other, but you're also showing how similar yet different each company is from each other, by showing how different yet similar both Draculas are. With you also doing them controlling the other monsters, and them going against these teams because of them being a threat to his plans in the first place. You're also using it to show how different each team is. You're also using it for him interacting with other vampires and other monsters from both universes and both multiverses. You could also use it for them fighting against magical villains in general here, and you could even use it for them fighting against the Fear and Hell Lords from the Marvel dimension, and them also fighting against the demons and devils from the DC dimensions. Michael Morbius, the living vampire, could be a part of the Midnight Suns, and in helping them to defeat Dracula. And you would also be a part of the Creature Commandos and the Legion of Monsters, because since him being a vampire that's created through science, him being an outcast to the other vampires. And Enchantress would also be there to try to get Thor to fall in love with her, and to go against them as a magical supervillain, and I would go with the Avengers, the Earth's Mightiest Heroes version of her. Combined with the Superhero Squad version of her, with her trying to get Thor to fall in love with her, and her hating Jane Foster. You would also have Satan, Damon Hellstrom, and Satana as Baba. Umar, who is Dormammu's sister, and Dormammu, who is the arch nemesis of Doctor Strange and the Defenders. He is the ruler of the Dark Dimension, and you can make it that it being a part of the Dark Multiverse as with their Shri here in the Antimatter Universe. And he is a godlike supervillain. He is different from the other godlike supervillains because he has never been defeated. You would also have the Hell Lord that is in charge of Limbo, and his daughter, and Nergal and Nibiru. Nergal is the demon that turned John Constantine, and Nibiru is the demon that turned Blue Devil into Blue Devil. And you would do Kane become a good person because of him working under John Constantine, and who would be in charge of the House of Mystery, and he would still have his connection to the Dreaming, same thing with Zatanna and Abel, but with the House of Secrets in the Dreaming. And Elvira would be with the Third House, and the same thing there. And with the new house for the Night Tales event, it would have the Tales from the Crypt Keeper, and the Old Witch, and the Vault Keeper, and all of them still having the relationship to Dream of the Endless. With them doing what Dream said, and them still being in the Dream Dimension, but them still doing what John Constantine says if it involving the House of Mystery. And Crypty would be a combination of the later parts of the cartoon version of Tales from the Crypt Keeper, the later parts of the cartoon, and the live-action version of him, and from live-action Tales from the Crypt itself, combined with the comic book version of him, both versions of him. And both versions of the comic book version and of the Vault Keeper and the Old Witch would be combined with their versions and in the cartoon show version of Tales from the Crypt Keeper. And for the combinations you would do for the Amalgam universe here, Morgan Le Fay being different and interacting with DC's Morgan Le Fay because that one has a son.
Here is your power. Now! At last. Mordred, give that
Man, not long ago, a student of mine, King Arthur's half-sister, Morgane Le Fay, seeking to wrest the throne from our beloved king, gathered her army and attacked Camelot. The Knights of the Round Table fought valiantly, but they were no match for Morgane's enchantments. Nor, I'm sorry to say, was I. The student had surpassed the master. Camelot fell.
Smigawa and Ektutu.
Wabiom is skill and fire spam. Wabiom is skill and fire spam. Wabiom.
Is because all the continuities of their universes. Marvel's Lady Death would meet up with Death of the Endless. Dream of the Endless would meet up with Nightmare. And Mephisto would meet up with Neon because both of them being the devils of their companies.
Test of Lighter Hall.
We are merely fulfilling our function.
And your master is no longer here.
Will harm you henceforth. Go in peace. Live your life. And you will see me in your dreams.
It's good to finally meet you.
You like dogs?
We're gonna have so much fun.
Look at him, this man. So much to learn.
Not for you.
It's all gonna be fine.
It's not scary.
Please, take your seat. Join us.
Lobo also it not being a cheap knockoff of Wolverine. You keeping Wonderstorm, but the actual Diana would be combined with Thor. You're also having some Wonder Woman characters in there, because of the Spielman was more. And I imagine it would go well with the crossover, and it would be good you mixing your characters with other ones. Hellcat, Tiger, and Cheetah would be combined with each other because of them being half woman, half cats, and it's better than Cheetah being combined with Kraven the Hunter. DC and Marvel's Hercules would be combined, and DC and Marvel's Ares would be combined. With you saying that DC's unknown, which says that her Hercules is more like Marvel's Hercules, but her being that you're dealing with her Ares. The Yellow Jackets, some of the other giant monsters, and Marvel's Minotaur would be combined with DC's Minotaur, and Marvel's Medusa would be combined with DC's Medusa, and the Greek gods would be combined with the Norse gods. The Amalgam Minotaur used to be a bad guy, but then him becoming a good guy with Wonder Woman, and then him also being Wonder Woman himself while still owning a company. Him using his company to help Wonder Woman, and him doing it because of Wonder Woman and not judging him for how he looks. Actually being a good friend to him. With him being mostly good, but him still doing some bad things on occasion, if them making him angry. But him still being good in general, and him being loyal to Wonder Woman because of it.